Mr. Vincent, it's such an honor to have you here today in the ISC conference. Spoke about some great things. Is it your first time in Saudi Arabia?
No. I've been in and out of Saudi Arabia since 1990.
Great, that's great. So let's talk about Saudi Arabia for a while. This year, Saudi Arabia has been ranked the second in the cybersecurity index. What do you think that means for the digital economy in Saudi Arabia?
They're ranked second. That's pretty good. I think the fact that Saudi Arabia has recognized the importance of this space, recognized the critical security requirements, and are taking the steps necessary to be helpful and to defend those things are really great concepts. So it's good that they're second. They should be number one.
Hopefully, one day, sometime soon.
Yes.
You spoke about cyber resilience. Now, what makes a particular organization resilient enough to recoup and recover from a particular cyber attack?
Yeah, in order for that to be the case, you've got to thought about what your enterprise looks like. You've got to understand what your data requirements are and what's important. And you have to have a plan to quickly reconstitute. You've got to have backups, you've got to have techniques, you've got to have the procedures in place to deal with a crisis. That means you've got redundant capability, you have thought about how you fight, and I don't like to use that term often, but how do you fight back? And I don't mean to attack the adversary, but to make sure that those things that are important to you, important operationally, are ready to go at a moment's notice.
What about accessibility? So now cybersecurity is a necessity, but is it as accessible now to all organizations across the different sizes?
No, it is not. And it is particularly not available to those who are underprivileged, underrepresented, so they're falling behind. The people who don't have access to the network, don't have access to computers, are falling behind because that's the future. And so organizations have the capability, depending on how large an organization, they have greater capability. But I worry about school and I worry about those who are underprivileged, whether they're getting access as much as they should.
And how do you think we can tackle this challenge? Through awareness, education, or what are the different methods?
Yes, all of the above. We've got to change the way we educate. We've got to change the way that we make the internet available. So we got to build out broadband access at all levels. No one should be denied the ability to touch the internet and learn from it and get the benefits of the network.
Let's talk a bit about the zero trust technique and addressing the big elephant in the room, the scare of using sensitive data across organizations. What do you have to say about that?
About using sensitive data across organizations? Tell me what you mean by sensitive data first.
No, about using the zero trust technique.
So zero trust is really assuming that everybody is a potential threat vector. So how do you make sure that each individual, each system, each tool is protected so it gets access to only that which it should have access to? Individuals have access to data only that they need to have access to. And so as you isolate different pieces, you assume, and this sounds horrible, but you assume the worst, so you protect it as if it is vulnerable. Protecting individuals, protecting data, protecting systems on the network. And if you can do that and make the assumption that it is untrustworthy and you build all the techniques around that, then you have a chance of being secure in your environment.
It seems that all these things are developing in such a rapid pace. What do you think next year in conferences like this we would be discussing?
Oh goodness, that's a great question. I think part of the challenge going forward is really just how do you deal with all of the data. There's so much more data that's being generated today than ever before. How do you use machine learning and artificial intelligence to get better insights from the data? And as you get better insights and you ask better questions, how do you make decisions in a more timely manner? I think that's probably the next big thing. Decision, support, because you understand more from the data.
And we'll be looking forward to hearing from that next year.
Okay.
From you. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for being here.